Good evening. The opinions and statements voiced by our guests do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this network. Enjoy the shows.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection.
Now, historic films made in the spring of 1948 and just released show Eniwetok preparing for heavily guarded and still largely secret tests of new atomic weapons. The test's purpose is to measure atomic effects on thousands of different materials, 30,000 tons of them, not, as at Bikini, to prove military effectiveness.
San Francisco police say that 9 persons have been arrested in a narcotics raid on the headquarters of the Grateful Dead, a widely popular singing group. 2 members of the group, Rod McKernan and Robert Weir, and their business manager, Danny Rifkin, have been booked on suspicion of possessing narcotics.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11. Tower cleared.
Here we got a roll program.
Neil Armstrong reporting the roll and pitch program, which puts Apollo 11 on a proper heading.
I'm going to step off the limb now. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Well, strange lights are causing a viral buzz on YouTube. Could we have caught extraterrestrial activity on a recent newscast? Brandon Arroyo investigates.
As the newscast ended, the controversy began back on September 26th. What is that light shining in the back of the dark night sky?
With coverage reaching all the way back to 1948, for over 70 years, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Now, Fate Magazine Radio is carrying on that tradition of setting the standard in paranormal talk radio as we report and discuss some of the most mysterious and perplexing phenomena imaginable in this strange world of ours. Now, here is your host of Fate Magazine Radio, Kat Hobson.
Good evening. Welcome to Fate Mag Radio here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I am so glad to welcome you tonight because I have a fantastic guest. Y'all probably remember Teal from her show here. Well, she's coming back. And I, for one, am Snoopy dancing around the place. Now, I do want to welcome Kat Ward into our chat tonight. I am so excited to have her here. I just want to tell you a little bit about Teal. Hey, Lori. So our chat room is filling up. If you are trying to find us, you can go to fatemag.com. You'll see the Fate Radio page. Just click that and you'll see our chat there. You can come in through there, or you can just come in through WBHM-DB.com. Click on the Fate Mag icon and you'll be right there. So Teal Gray is someone that I have the utmost respect for. She is one of those people that is so diverse and interesting that you just have a great time when you get the chance to talk to her. We have been talking before the show about how long it's been since we actually sat down to have a conversation, and how awesome it is that we can just pick up where we left off. because trust me, that's cool. So, we have Pete Haviland in the house too. So, yay, go Pete. So, Teal has written books that fascinate me. And she has been to places that amaze me. She is one of those people who takes what she does very seriously. That's a lot to do with why she's very good at it. She has written so many books. She has visited so many sites. Her thing is traveling to sacred sites and experiencing them. And we were just talking about that before the show as well, and about how you can be there and you can feel what the energy is, and you can just feel the holiness of places. And, you know, it just dawned on me that I am sitting here telling you all this about her, which is kind of funny, because she is perfectly capable and will do it a whole lot better than me. And Teal, I am so pleased to have you here. Thank you.
I'm thrilled to be here. I tell you, this is such an honor for me because I am a huge Fate magazine fan. As a child, this was something that captured my imagination. It still does, because it's top notch. There's nothing better than Fate magazine as far as delivering, so many unique stories and opening your mind to the possibilities and ideas with people that are, anything from a scientist to a minister to, just these hunters of fascinating experiences of all kinds. And I just think that it's so well written. I've always just aspired to be like that. And so that is one of the things that has driven me my whole life and career, is to be as good as Fate magazine, write as well as those people. And so I'm thrilled to be here.
When I first started reading Fate magazine, I was pretty young, and I kind of got away from it. And my dad kind of turned that around. So, because they were always available, and my parents got divorced, and my mom wasn't into it, so they weren't in the house I was living in. So when I would go to my dad's, there they were. But they have been some of the things that made me go, oh, eek. No.
Some of it's interesting. But it does get your mind to wonder and to think and ask questions and what if, and, golly, I had no idea. And I think that's the thing that keeps you young, whether, you are or whether you're over 100, keep asking questions, keep seeking truth and wonder, because everything's so fascinating in this world and beyond. We only know a finite amount about it, and I just think that Fate magazine is just amazing in the way they deliver that and open your mind.
Well, I agree. And, it's really interesting because as far as the staying, young through this, it's interesting because Phyllis, who is the editor of Fate, is one of the youngest spirits I know. She lost her partner and went through all the things that entails. Mm-hmm. And then she has come through that. She has a voracious appetite for life. Mm-hmm. And she's not doing anything crazy, although she probably would jump out of an airplane if the opportunity arose. She may have already done it.
Thinking about skydiving.
I know, right? But it's just overwhelming to me that every time I talk to her, she is just wide open, having a good time, always living life, always positive tone, all the things.
And that's, I tell you, that is, none of us know how much time is in our hourglass, right? We all come into the world with different amounts. Yes. But why not? It takes less muscles to smile than frown. So certainly your brain, there's science behind the fact that if your brain is inquisitive and it does uplift your mood. So even in these times, we're going through some fearful times, and with, big questions hanging over things, with COVID and all these different variants and other things in the world. The world is also going through its upheaval with the oceans and the earthquakes and the volcano thing. Lots going on. But, you cannot affect change for that. However, you can change how you're making it through your day dealing with that. And, part of that, constant kind of upbeat questioning and researching and, just imagine all the fascinating people she gets to speak with and the research stories and things and all that she reads and that people send in, from whether it's something about a topic or a personal story. I mean, those things really can, uplift your spirit and send this influx and influence for you to then be a smile to somebody else who's not feeling that way, and it's contagious. Just as something negative is quite contagious, positivity is contagious.
I like
Laughter.
catching positivity more.
When people start laughing, and even if you didn't hear why they're laughing, you can't help but smile, and it's contagious.
Absolutely. And Sherry says, Kat's got the best job. Yes, I do. Yeah. I love what I do, and I value it. So I would agree with that.
Well, you do it well.
Thank you. Well, it's really fun because fate opens a lot of doors because it's got a reputation. And
absolutely.
I'm so blessed to be able to speak to the different people that I get to talk with. I'm very fortunate that they generally don't mind me not knowing everything about their topic because they love their topics and they get to educate me and my listeners. Yeah. So for them, it's a win-win. They're getting publicity, they're getting to sell books, and they are
making
getting
a new
to
friend
teach.
in the chat.
Oh, yes. I love my guests. So, I don't invite anybody that I'm not interested in.
Well, and isn't that wonderful to be in that position that you don't have to?
Well, I get told no. Well, actually, I don't get told no very often, but I have in the past been told no. And usually it's because of their, it's their television networks. More than anything else. I've never had anybody say, oh, no, I would not care to come on with you. You are just yuck. I have had people say, you would have to go through my network, and that's really hard if you have to. But I also have networks reach out to me saying, we'd really like to come in for some promotion or whatever. So that's nice.
Yeah.
And I am very blessed to do what I do.
Well, I tell you, I am not one to brag. I don't. I'm actually very low key on that note, but I have been bragging to everybody that I'm on Fate Magazine tonight. Hello.
I'm so glad you feel like that.
I do.
That's cool beans. Well, I think the funniest thing.
And I'm so excited. Hello, everybody in the chat room. I'm traveling, so I'm on my phone. I can't see the chat room, but I know it's all filling up. So hello, everybody.
Well, they are there, and I'm blushing because they're being very nice, and I appreciate all of that too. I just I love our chats. So I love our listeners.
I know when I have my show, and I'm coming back in January, everybody.
I know.
Yay. And we'll start the new year out right.
Yes, we will.
And, but I love, everybody's so amazing in the chat room. I love the energy and the questions and the way everybody talks back and forth. It's really fun. You have a really great group there.
Thank you. I like them too. And I appreciate them too, because I get some great questions.
Oh, they're so knowledgeable. That was one thing that always, because I have a big, diverse group of people and that I bring on as guests. And I'm telling you, gosh, they are so intelligent with their questions. And then they're all, how you go down these rabbit trails when you're having a conversation or this or that. And they are, boy, they're the master of the rabbit trail. They keep right up. It's great.
Well, they are great. And sometimes they have much better questions than I have written down to go to. They have saved me on occasion.
Let's ask.
Well, we're talking about you coming back, but you have so many irons in the fire right now, and you finished your deadline with The Haunted Hill House, which, by the way, great book.
Thank you.
I don't usually read scary things.
Very haunted. Well, that has been an interesting book, I have to say, if I can take a minute just to
Absolutely.
To speak on
This is about you.
It's Haunted Hill House is an actual house in Mineral Wells, for anybody who doesn't know. And Kathy and Sonny Estes own the house. They're a wonderful, dear people. And they had no idea. They knew it was haunted, with little children spirits or whatever, but they didn't know everything else at all. And as they have been there, it is a very haunted house in every aspect, as far as active, intelligent, interactive hauntings with spirits of all sorts, and residual things, and phenomenon that is, auditory, physical. There's just so much. It's just like really you could do a kind of a lab study there. You really could. And they have really done a beautiful job with bringing the big old mansion back to its original state. The rooms are beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's been and there's quite a few great quotes on the book cover, the book jacket, which I was really honored to have. Jack Osborne, he does Portals to Hell and several other shows. And he said that's the most haunted place he's ever been to. And when asked about it, at different times, because he's been all over the world.
He came actually to Shelley's Jail. I was on that show with them.
Yes. And I love his shows. He's really great. And he brings fun to it. And I like it. But he does take it seriously, too. I mean, he does make fun. He's having a good time, but he's serious in his investigation. And they're really big on their research, which I appreciate. I mean, I just think he does top-notch job. And, he's like, oh, this place is seriously scary. And I think it's because of the amount of hauntings, the different spirits there, and the level of intensity of the things that happen day and night. And again, it's not some isolated incident. It's, consistent, constant, and a lot to it. But anyway, the book, when I've written the book, and as I was completing that book, I've not had this happen with anything else or being in any space around the world. I started to have, because I have a lot of protection, that I've built up in prayer, and I work with God and the good angels, and all these things. So I'm very meticulous about that, staying protected and but this place was so haunted that I started towards the end, when I was getting to explaining about, dark forces and different, the difference between that and, lighter and darker entities, all these things, and how to protect yourself. Well, when I was getting to the part about protecting yourself, apparently something didn't like that. And it would feel like needles or knives in my fingers. And every time I'd go to type, it would just, oh my gosh, I'd have to stop and, massage my hands, and just like, wow, I was really surprised. And I would see like a shadow in the hallway behind me, and I would be, woof, out you go kind of thing. But it would keep breaking through. It would keep breaking through. And the interesting thing is people reading the book. There's been people that have contacted me and said they had not read through, so it wasn't already in their mind when I said, gosh, writing this book, this happened, right? That before that, they said they were holding book and they had gone through and really, enjoyed the read, a little scared, but enjoyed the read. And then before they got to that part, some of them felt that same pins and needles, knives feeling in their hands and their fingers.
Oh,
and they had to drop the book.
Teal.
They would drop the book. This one man.
Oh, wait. I'm gonna have to stop you here because we have to go to break. But I can't wait to hear about this. So just bear with us. We'll be right back. This is our first commercial break, and we'll see you on the flip side of it.
Warning, the following message does not necessarily reflect the views of WBHM-DB or its hosts, guests, listeners, or of any functioning adult in general. In fact, Frank should probably seek professional help. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi there, Frank Lee here. I thought that I would spend a few moments telling you about the positivity from the network here. The overall message of para-unity and happiness, and how everyone here wants to get along with everyone out there, and how everything is just wonderful. Wait, Cat's not looking. Okay, I've got something to really tell you. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what's really going on. Honestly, all that being nice and positive crap was kind of hurting my soul, as dark as it is. So, what's really happening? Well, you see it all the time. Everybody and their brother out there has a paranormal team because they watched a couple of episodes of Ghost Hunters or some crap like that. So they go and they spend half their mortgage payment on tools and things that light up that they don't understand. And then the next logical step, after buying matching black t-shirts and posing like 90s rappers for their Facebook page, is to, of course, have their own podcast. Well, you know what? You're not going to find that crap here. What we have here at WBHM Digital Broadcasting is the best host, the best guest, bringing you real information. All of the hosts here on this network know their stuff. They are the people who have been out there doing the work, doing actual research. And no, by research, I don't mean binge watching some kind of cheesy TV show on Netflix. I mean reading books. I mean out in the field doing the legwork. And who are they interviewing on their shows? They're bringing you the people they have learned from. They're bringing you the best in the field, covering all kinds of topics, from UFOs and aliens to Bigfoot to cryptozoology to ghosts to anything you can think of, a bit strange and unexplained. It is here, and you're going to get the best information here. So stay tuned to WBHM Digital Broadcasting. Don't go anywhere. Speaking of going somewhere, I've got to go before my mic gets cut. We'll see you there on WBHM-DB.
Welcome back to Fate Mag Radio here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. My guest is Teal Gray, and I cut her short. Bum, bum, bum. Cliffhanger. But Teal... Yes. Oh, hang on. I wasn't getting any feed off you, but now I am.
Oh, you got it? Okay. So people have told me this is the first time, I've written other books that touch on, spooky situations, but nobody has ever been physically affected. So this one person that particularly was affected, I know other people that know him. He's very no nonsense. He was, a professor for many years, and he studied archaeology. He's been on digs. I mean, he's a very high-minded, clear-headed,
science-based.
He's science-based, and this is new in his wheelhouse. So he was, shocked and surprised, right? And he had not read the part where I was explaining, as I was writing this certain part of the book, this started happening. And so it wasn't in his head to say like, oh, you read that and then you sort of manifested that in your mind and then it felt physically that way. He hadn't gotten there yet. And he felt those pins, needles, kind of knives stabbing his hands to the point that he dropped the book. And he thought, what is going on? And he was rubbing his hands. He's like, wow, because he also has no problems with his hands, And so he picks the book up and he's like, that's strange. And he goes back to start reading where he left off. Boom. Again, this happened 3 times. And he couldn't figure it out. And he pushed through it towards the end to see, like, what was it that he, was just about to read. And he read my experience. And then he got, there's a set of pictures that I put in because as I was saying before, I would also see like a dark shadow figure of like a human figure, but bigger, dark in my hallway. And I would be like, nope, we're not having any of this. But yet it would still keep breaking through, at different times when I would come to write. And a friend of mine, Mark Foltz, who's amazing psychic, he said, it's kind of like a spider web when you're working on these stories and with very intense energies like that and spirits. And maybe as you're so into the writing and so, relaying your story, maybe you're tripping that little spider web and the spider's coming out, so to speak. And I said, I never thought about it as a spider web, kind of a psychic spiritual spider web situation, but it does kind of make sense because also as these people are very into reading about that house and the situation, they're having some manifestations like that. So he put the book away for about 3 weeks. And when he came back to it, he was a little bit, had an aha moment of like, oh, that's why it didn't want me to kind of get to the point of going through understanding sometimes these things happen, how to protect yourself, that sort of thing. And also to see the pictures that I have in there. There's 2 pictures. And the next morning after this started, I went out to my car, daylight, nice day. And I always pray. I pray. I pray all the time. I even pray for roadkill. So I do
that. I pray when I cut a limb. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all the time. So it's not unusual for me to pray. And it's not just because I'm a minister. I prayed long before that. It's just part of who I am. And so I say my prayers. I even say them at midnight to start the new day, all the time. But I got in my car and I felt like something was following me, which I stay very protected and keep things pushed back. It's not usual for that to happen. But it was very strong. And so I got in my car, closed the door, and my husband was with me and closed his door. And are you there, Kat?
Yes.
Okay. My phone flashed, so I thought maybe we lost connection. So we're sitting there and he's like, what are you doing? I said, just a minute. I just need to pray. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And so we're sitting there. The car's not running. Car's not moving. It's not a windy day. Nothing's happening, the doors are shut. And we're there, I'm praying silently. And then I say out loud, thank you, God, for, blessing me and keeping me safe from all evil. And whatever is trying to attach or is hovering around or is near me that is associated with, anything negative that shouldn't be here, please banish it immediately from my space. I kid you not. It sounded like a bomb and it sounded physical, like a body. It was the big long window, because I have an extended Suburban. So people who understand that will know that big long window on the side, it shattered from the inside out.
Get out of town.
From the inside out. The insurance people were like, that's impossible. And yet we're taking these pictures, right? I mean, and I told them what happened. And they were like, that is crazy. I said, and yet it is, because people, also, I have to interject for a second to explain, because some people will be like, well, if it's a spirit, how does it happen? When they come into your space or your house or whatever,
yes,
that's why when you do a cleansing or a clearing with sage, whatever, or my sprays people use, you have to, I always say, open doors, open windows, because once they have come in, they are having physical experiences and their energy has changed to a different manifestation. So they are more physical and you're in relation with you and in what they're doing and haunting a space of any kind. So when that spirit was banished, obviously it was negative. It was banished. It literally was banished like a bomb out that window. It sounded like that. It sounded big. And also, you know, Kat, unfortunately, the noises that something dark makes. It's not an animal and it's not human. It's something in between. And it's also a million voices in one. It is a million voices in one. It's too hard to explain other than in pieces like that. But it sounded like that, and with a boom, a bomb of energy, and the whole thing shattered from the inside out. And so those pictures are in the book because I've never had that happen before.
Well, it's not a common occurrence. People don't, or if it is, people don't share that.
Yeah, I've never heard of that before. So I thought, wow. And I will say from that moment on, it never happened again. There were no more shadows. There was no more pain. There was no more problems. That was it. Done. And so I'm grateful for that. But other people have told me that in reading the book, besides that physical manifestation of the pain that he felt in his hands, I've had dozens of people say that they even took into account that maybe they're getting scared up reading the book. But no, and then there's people who are like, nope, I'm not terrified reading this book. It's interesting. And I love the history and the stories, but no, I wasn't terrified. But they're all seeing these dark shadows. And, so they have to clear those out. And then you've got, it's just kind of like, what? Are you kidding me? And then also on the back cover, I did an image of what I feel like the demon is there named Toby, because he showed himself to me and with a 7 in front of him, which that's a whole nother thing about an infestation I can explain to you if you're interested. But
I am interested, but I was going to ask you, the people who are experiencing the manifestation within their own space just from reading the book. Mm-hmm. It just happens that we have a question in chat about your favorite way to clean your home. Yeah. And, there was kind of a joke about maybe Pledge should have sage cleaners. And then, scrubbing bubbles with sage. We work hard so you don't have to, kind of a thing. And that is not an endorsement. But, but what do you tell people when you experience that?
I did a whole business around my keeping protected. And I have a company called the Lavender Crow, which is also going to reopen. I still sell, things, but it's not been as open as it was before because with COVID and everything and shipping, it was just a mess. So we're opening that back up before Christmas, before the holidays. But I have created my own spray to deal with that, but you don't have to buy my spray or anybody else's to deal with that. But mine, my blend, they use that at the Hill House. In fact, the owner, she has to have it because it's the only thing that works to keep them back and away from them following them to their own personal home, which has been a problem in the past for them. But mine is infused. I grow my own sage and I grow my own lavender, and then I collect holy water from all over the world and different bits of soil and different things, and so I infuse my water with holy water, or my sprays rather, protection spray with holy water, with blessed. I bless everything, and I grow it myself, and so it's just this whole thing that's a part of the plants I use. Part of everything in it is intentionally blessed for protection. And so that is why I think my sprays are used by so many people to clear houses, and some people have even used them in exorcisms and different things. And, you know, but aside from that, you know, I would say and salts. I collect salts from all over the world. Yes. And so to me, all the different things I put in, and holy oils, I use a lot of different holy oils. So there's a lot going on.
What do you think about Palo Santo?
You know, I use that some. I think it can be great, but for me, just for me, I know some people swear by it. For me, it's more of a backup or an additional for certain things, but it's not something I consistently use. But I like it. It works.
I just discovered it, but Sherry had asked about that in chat. And
no, it's good. And I think, though, I'm just such a Puritan on certain things. I like some of it over others, but it's just because I'm so conscious of the energy of how things are collected, or how things are grown, or how things are handled, if you will, before they're sent to me or before I get them. It matters, trust me. So I think that has a lot to do with it, but as a means of purification, and for holy ceremonies and things like that, I think it's great. I just would want a little backstory on
right.
what I'm.
Well, what about Kat Ward is asking, what are your thoughts on dragon's blood for cleansing?
Well, I've used it. It depends, because it's a lot of nuances, but what you're cleansing, you know what I'm saying? Are you cleansing generally? Are you cleansing a specific spirit? Are you cleansing, a house? Are you cleansing a person? Are you, there's little nuances to it. So, I mean, certainly I've used that before, and I think it can be very good. Also, different people use crystals along with these things. And some of my sprays, I put certain crystals in it, so they're there. Amethyst is something that helps bring positive, powers of intention. Obsidian is good for banishing attachments. Tiger's Eye is also another one that when something is kind of affecting your solar plexus and your third eye blocking, different things, you need protection for people who are psychic, people who kind of have out of body, journeys and things. Golden Tiger's Eyes, that's really good for that, I think. It really does depend, but I would say as a general spray of things. Let me think. Another one here. Labradorite is also one.
Yeah.
If you're under or feel like you're under kind of a psychic attack or energy, something's coming against you, or you feel like people are sending negative things, that's wonderful for that. And even have you ever heard of or worked with the hematite? It's kind of a master stone.
Yes, in fact, Kat was talking about that in chat with selenite.
Yeah, it works in so many ways to carry that. In fact, I carry it when I travel to some places, because I'm writing another book in the future is called Sacred Derkos, which is sacred spelled backwards for the second word, because it's a study on why is something a pilgrimage for sacredness or holiness or good, and why is there certain places, on these ley lines that go through the earth, and why are some of them so dark, and it just seems like evil or darkness or negative things happen in this space, and yet
but there's a yin and a yang with that.
Yeah, and so I think that's fascinating, but hematite is great as a master stone in dealing with those negative energy fields and the magnetic parts of the earth. So that's a good one to kind of have. And just the quartz crystals, there are protective stone. I do cleanse mine a lot. Now that's one thing, I definitely cleanse them. I wash them and cleanse them in the sun. Sometimes, depending on the moon, I might put them out under the moon. But they
I always use the sun.
Psychic attacks, negative energy, just even in your environment, it will absorb that negativity, and then you can send it on its way, which is what you want to do. But, for people who are like, well, look, I can't get your spray. I don't have any of these stones. I need something toot sweet. I tell them, if you can't even get holy water, can't do that, get water, just water. And then with your own intention of blessing that water, add a ton of salt.
Yes.
Negativity.
And boil it.
Salt. Yes. But if they don't have the ability to do that, that would be ideal. But if you don't, just shake it up and spray it and pray, but make sure open doors, windows, something, because it has to get out, or you're chasing it around and it's going to get worse because it's mad.
Yes.
So you have to think about that. But that's one thing that you can do just quickly, and then you can always go back and add other things. If you have sage, burn that, and don't forget the corners, like open cabinets, open your closet doors. I mean, they love to get into small, dark, out of the way spaces. They're
places
not always
that you won't think of.
That you don't think of. And also, people don't think about, I do classes on this, but actually somebody's like, you need to write a book. So I actually am. I'm going to try to get out before the end of the year, because so many people are, having some free time and they're out ghost hunting and everything, which is amazing. That's great. Follow your passion, but be safe with it, because you don't know what you're going to bring home. And, you have to think, I need to cleanse my car, kind of do a blessing and cleanse cleanse where your car has been. And don't forget the shoes you wore, the clothes you're wearing. Once you've been to these places, you just come home and you just tracked all that with you into your house. Take your shoes off, cleanse them, spray them, sage them, do something. Take your clothes immediately, do the same thing, sage yourself and cleanse yourself, and then wash your clothes. Do the same, you've got to get that off your shoes, off your clothes, because not everybody.
Well, now I put salt in with my laundry.
That's amazing.
When I have done that,
I do too. A handful of salt, I throw it in, just throw that salt in. I'm telling you, I have clients all over the world where this sounds a little crazy, but it works. If you are in a situation you feel that you are, I don't care, let's just say you're at the mall and you're like, something is on me, I got to get this off. Just get some salt out of, Chick-fil-A or anywhere, handful of salt, a little packet of salt, and I just sprinkle it right over my head, all over me. And I'm just like, think about the cleansing, anything negative that is around me, it falls off and away and it's gone. You can do that in the shower. I prefer a shower. I don't think you need to soak in all that
stuff. No, because you're absorbing that. Yeah, and your pores open, so you really are absorbing that.
So I am not a fan of anybody who says do it in the bath. I'm always like, I don't want to contradict anybody, but I know that's not my groove. Shower. You want to see it and imagine it and have the intent that it's washing down the drain and off of you and away and into the earth to be processed. However that needs to happen. That's not your business. All your business is to get it off of you and away from you.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say that we need to take another break.
Sure.
And we have questions for you in chat when we come back, so we will get all those taken care of too. And this is short. Y'all come back. We'll see you on the flip side.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... Nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Welcome back to Fate Mag Radio. I'm so glad that you are here. We are the online voice of Fate Magazine, and I am Kat Hobson, your host. I am so thrilled to have my friend and soon-to-be co-worker again here on the show in Teal Gray, and she has been sharing her secrets. Well, they're not secrets. She's sharing them for protection. And we have some questions that, as I told you before we went. So I'm just going to shoot down through them.
Sure.
And then we'll revisit them, and if we miss something, I'll try to catch that. But Sherry had said, what about frankincense? And she said somebody sprayed it on her and she stunk. And I said, I love frankincense, but I use it with myrrh.
I do put frankincense and myrrh in my spray. That's part of the holy oils that I use. I think it depends on how you use it. Are you using it as a derivative, as an oil that you're adding in? Are you using it as, an herb? Are you using it as, I
use it as in the incense forms.
Yeah, in the incense form. I think it depends on that, and also the amount and what you're mixing it with, that sort of thing. But I will say that I think you said there's a question about does it matter if you burn sage or if you use a spray?
Yes.
Now, I grow my own sages and make different bundles. And the reason I spent so much time, it took me 3 years to get the formula just right. And people all over the world are just, they love it. But I did that because some people are allergic to sage, to the burning of sage, and anything burning, if they have asthma or they have different things like this, or allergies, they can't do it. And so I worked to create something that you could not only use that doesn't damage, cause issues with any of your allergies, you can also make it portable. When you travel, I sell different sizes and some tiny sizes that pass, what you need to carry it in your luggage or carry on or whatever with the airlines, because so many people were traveling and getting in hotel rooms that felt odd. Well, sure, sometimes they find dead bodies under a bed. Things need to be cleared out. So this spray you can take with you, cleanse your hotel room. Also keep some in your purse. Cleanse your car. You can cleanse your. You can't light up at work, right?
Or in your hotel anymore.
Or in your hotel room. So you need to be able to spray your space. I also make potpourri that has all this infused in it, so you can have a beautiful bowl of potpourri out that's doing the same thing that the sage or the spray would do. Nobody even knows it. So you don't have to make an issue of it at work and feel uncomfortable about that. Just put your little bowl of stuff out as a decoration. No, it's a holiday log, they don't know. And also I have people that buy that use the potpourri, and also they use the spray underneath the chair of their husbands if they're very cranky, and it changes their mood. And they'll even say,
Clever.
Have you done something different? I kind of smell a little something. It smells nice, but also I'm just not as angry, and I'm just wondering, what's going on. They're like, I don't know what you're talking about. And also for people who have been kind of bullied at work, the spray does not harm anything, but it does not allow negativity to stay in that space. So while you're not affecting anyone negatively, you also aren't letting that negative energy stay in your space anymore. So I've had a few instances where people said, my workspace was really unhealthy, and the people fought a lot, or this one person was at me, all these different situations. And they said they would just kind of, secretly kind of spray the spray over themselves or spray the area. And within no time, it would, diffuse the negative vibe. And also there was one person that said they were getting ready to quit before they could retire just because they couldn't take it anymore, the bullying at work. Well, the bully didn't have anything negative happen to them, but they left after she started doing this. It was only, I think, not even a week, and the person got transferred somewhere else. And so she was able to continue, working and finish her time. She had I think 18 more months left before she retired with full benefits. But she was so bullied and upset, she was ready to walk away from all that she'd worked for all those years. And this was kind of a little miracle for her because it didn't hurt anybody, but it also didn't let anything negative stay there. So it made a situation, shift for the better. And yet the person, even though they were negative, you didn't hurt them. They got a promotion, they got moved on. They're just not in your area, So that's the beauty of it. You're not doing anything that you have to feel questionable about at all. But you also don't have to be, in a negative space. You can clear that out, and you have every right to. I mean, God doesn't want anybody to be in a negative situation. I mean, so calling on the good angels and God to help you. And then if you have anything in your toolkit that you can use to assist that, there's nothing wrong with that.
I agree. I totally agree. Well, just so you know, they consider you very informative and they love you.
Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate that.
I was, Kat says that she's got to get into all those nooks and crannies, and I agree. I had someone manning I used a spray bottle for holy water when I had the incident in my home because I have high ceilings in my basement, and that's where I started. And it was actually a visual experience for the person who was helping me. He saw what was in my basement. So, and
that's scary.
Well, no, he just went still for a minute and missed an amen. And I was like, first time going by the directions, and I'm like, amen, Frank. You have to say this. But it was because he was just mesmerized. But interestingly enough, when we began the process, I had created holy water, and not created, made, whatever.
Right.
But,
sure.
And I made a liter of that so that I would not run out, and put it in a spray bottle. And the first time that he pulled the trigger, it broke. Brand new spray bottle. And so he didn't tell me.
They don't want you to be able to use it.
Nope. And so he didn't tell me that happened. He was just two-fisting it, holding it in place and pulling the trigger all the way through the house. And immediately after it wouldn't work, or shortly after it wouldn't work, is when, I don't know if it meant to be seen or if he just looked at the right time, but he saw it. And
sometimes the last ditch effort is to have that one final hope at intimidation and fear.
Didn't work.
Yeah. And
So-
that's what you have to do. You have to know that you are the top of this food chain, not them. And they feed on the energy of fear, and so you just have to stand up to that and know you're greater than that.
Well, I knew that I had the angels on my side, and that helps.
Mm-hmm.
And I also
Absolutely.
knew that I hadn't done anything to deserve what had been placed here.
Right.
Because it was placed here. It wasn't just something that followed me home.
Mm-hmm.
So it was from someone else's negativity, and I'm a child of God, and I am a Christ follower. I know all, what I believe. So I knew that was, I've read the book. I know who wins.
That's right.
So,
that's right. Yeah.
And that's my team. So
But
anyway, it was
so scary, though, honestly.
It was scary.
Because it's out of the normal. It's why it's paranormal. It's not normal. And, if you've never had an experience with it, or even if you have.
I didn't. Not like
tell
that.
me all the time, don't you get used to this? No. You
No.
never get used to any of it. No.
That
No.
is something that is completely unexpected, no matter how many other people you help.
Exactly.
It is completely unexpected to have someone intentionally direct that negativity into your home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
exactly.
the reaction that I got from the people that did it was shock. And I didn't understand that. And I was actually told that, they were just playing with you. You went to war.
Exactly.
And I'm like, I didn't go to war. I just brought the powers that support me and protect me.
But you shut down that situation. And that's what you have to do, because otherwise, and a lot of people think, well, these things, they'll just go away, or,
they just
it's
grow.
kind of a quirk. It's kind of a quirk. Yeah. And it just gets stronger, and it affects, pets,
animals.
It affects animals. It affects your work. It affects your health. It affects
your relationships.
Relationships, yes, because anything, there's been people, in the past that have contacted me and I've helped that said, it's so weird. We get along great, but as soon as we get home, we start to bicker, and it's just getting to be a thing. And, they move into a new place. Everything was fine before. Well, this place is brand new. It couldn't possibly be haunted. Well, yes, it can. And it doesn't even have to be a haunting. It can be a negative energy from the land that the place is built on. There's so many different things it can be. But the truth is, it doesn't matter why it's there. If it's something that is affecting you negatively, or even if it's something that appears to be friendly and it's some quirky, fun thing, believe me, it's not. It's just the way they weasel in, and it will affect your health, and it will affect your mind, and it will affect your emotions. And you've got to clear that out. Clear it out.
Yep. And don't toy with it. Don't be fooled by it. Because
Don't interact. Don't get involved in that. And they love.
Don't do an EVP session.
No. Dark things love to appear as children. They love to appear as loved ones. They love to appear as, I'm just here to help, or please don't banish me. Well, they're immediately asking you not to banish them, because they know they
need banishing.
Yeah, they know they shouldn't be there. But no, don't play with it, honestly. I mean, that's why, and I say, and I think it was even in the first book I wrote, Shades of Angels, tools or traps. One of the chapters is tools and traps, because, I tell people, I wish you would just leave it alone, but I know you won't. So let me tell you how to protect yourself. And, I understand it. Some of it's curiosity. Some of it's, I have this gift of psychic abilities, or I have this sense of, being able to connect with these, other states that people don't, or spirits that people don't. And while, it's taken me a lifetime to really understand that it is a gift, because I was born with these abilities and different things, and second sights, and, ability to see spirits and stuff. And I didn't know everybody wasn't the same way. Right. And of course you learn that, and you learn to be quiet about it. But, the thing of it is, because I've always been, child of God, and I love, I'm just more in the light, So I went back and forth. Well, gosh, how can this be? Is this bad? Is this good? And, so I finally come to realize it's a gift. It's a gift from God, because I have helped a lot of people, people who said, had you not told me this, or had I not connected with this or that, I was going to kill myself as soon as we hung up, or I was going to kill myself as soon as I left here. And that's happened so many times throughout my career that I really thought, you know what? If you save one person's life, it's a gift. But to save a few, that's I think confirmation or something for me personally. It might not be for somebody else, but I feel
it is confirmation.
Yeah, I feel like, no, that's a gift. And you help people sometimes heal over things and connect with their loved ones in a way that they know they're okay and life goes on and all this sort of thing. And so, it comforts people. So there is, beyond just a curiosity of what's going to happen, does Sam love me, or is it Frank, or Sally, whoever, right? Besides just life questions, it's a more serious way as a tool for healing, But in that, you have to stay protected. You have to, and it's a practice that you have to just, some people, one of my favorite things is to quickly just, pray to God for his protection and ask the good angels to send a white light of protection that comes right from heaven. And you imagine it going right through the crown of your head, all the way through your body, down through your feet, and to take out anything negative that shouldn't be in that space, or near you.
And it'll bust your window out.
It'll bust your window out.
But we have to, I'm so sorry, but we have to stop for a second.
Sure.
Actually, for 5 minutes or so. But it's our top of the hour. This is our news break segment. And I hate like the dickens to stop you. But we have even more questions, so you're not getting out of here light, my friend.
That's fine. I love the questions. I love the questions. I love that. That's great to connect with everybody.
Excellent. So everyone, this is a great time to kind of stretch your legs, stand up, maybe throw a few cartwheels if you're Brian D. Parsons. And we will see you on the flip side. Maybe we'll find a little good news, because you know what? I'm ever hopeful.
This message comes from NPR sponsor REI with Hello Nature, a podcast from REI Co-op Studios, telling a new story of America's national parks through the voices of Black, Indigenous, and people of color. Available wherever you listen to podcasts.
Live from NPR News, I'm Janine Herbst. Fire crews in California are making progress battling the Alisal fire burning north of Santa Barbara. It's 78% contained. But Matt Gillum of member station KCRW reports reaching full containment is a challenge.
With winds remaining mostly calm, firefighters have been bombarding the blaze from the air with water-dropping helicopters and some of the largest tanker planes available. Although the air attack put a big dent in the Alisal fire and will last as long as conditions allow, Captain Daniel Berticelli with the Santa Barbara County Fire Department says some of the most rugged areas still burning require boots on the ground.
I mean, we can't get there with engines. We can't get there with dozers. You have to hike into this area and use hand tools to create containment line.
The forecast calls for strong evening breezes, followed by windy conditions on Monday that could bring gusts of up to 35 miles per hour to the area. For NPR News, I'm Matt Gillum in Santa Barbara.
Ohio-based Christian Aid Ministries says 17 missionaries, including children, were kidnapped yesterday by a gang in Haiti. The group says the 16 Americans and 1 Canadian were on a trip to visit an orphanage. This as gang kidnappings rise in Haiti. The Caribbean nation is still reeling from the events following the assassination of the country's president in July and a deadly 7.2 magnitude quake last month. Wildor Marincourt is the editor-in-chief of the Ibo Post.
It's a very dire situation. Children are being kidnapped, women are being kidnapped, practically everybody. You see police officers being kidnapped, but you see, small merchants on the street being kidnapped. Sometimes they ask for a lot of money.
Speaking there to NPR's Weekend Edition. Former President Bill Clinton is out of a Southern California hospital after spending several days there for a urological infection that spread to his blood. He was on IV antibiotics in the ICU. The 75-year-old was admitted Tuesday. He walked out of the University of California Irvine Medical Center today with his wife Hillary, stopping to shake hands and thank the medical staff. Officials say he will continue his recovery at his home in New York. Several major companies released their quarterly earning results this week. NPR's Raphael Naum has more.
Autumn had been looking pretty gloomy on Wall Street until this past week. Some of the country's biggest banks, including Bank of America, reported strong results. It was exactly what markets needed after weeks of negative news on inflation and supply chain problems. Traders are now bracing for a new set of results this week. Tesla, Netflix, Intel, and United Airlines are among the companies that will announce earnings for the quarter from July to September. We'll also get fresh data on the housing sector, as well as on manufacturers, which are struggling with massive cargo traffic jams. Raphael Naum, NPR News.
U.S. futures contracts are trading lower at this hour. Dow futures contract down a fraction. You're listening to NPR News. Healthcare unions in Quebec are urging their members to refuse mandatory overtime work on weekends. Dan Karpinchuk reports representatives say healthcare workers are beyond exhausted because of the pressures of the COVID-19 pandemic.
The Federation of Interprofessional Healthcare Workers of Quebec says more than 30,000 of their members won't be working extra hours this weekend. Formal notices were sent to health authorities, as well as a deadline of mid-November to ban the practice of mandatory overtime. The Federation's Vice President, Patrick Gay, also said there could be further action, adding that forced overtime has had an impact on the overall health network. The Nurses Union has also appealed to the province's Workplace Safety Board and the Human Rights Commission to look into the issue. Health Minister Christian Dubé says getting rid of mandatory overtime can't happen overnight and hopes by next week for some measures to improve working conditions. For NPR News, I'm Dan Karpinchuk in Toronto.
At the weekend box office, Halloween Kills took the top spot with an estimated $50 million in ticket sales. The latest installment in the Michael Myers saga far surpassed expectations, which had the film pegged for a more conservative debut in the $30 million range. It also easily beat its main competition, which included the James Bond film, No Time to Die, in its second weekend, and Ridley Scott's medieval epic, The Last Duel, both of which are playing exclusively in theaters. U.S. futures contracts for crude oil are trading higher. It's up about 0.7% at $82.87 a barrel. I'm Janine Herbst, NPR News.
The news moves fast. Listen to the NPR News Now podcast to keep up. We update stories as they evolve every hour. So no matter when you listen, you get the news as close to live as possible on your schedule. Subscribe to or follow the NPR News Now podcast.
Welcome back to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 5 minutes after the hour. Welcome back for the second hour of Fate Mag Radio. I am Kat Hobson, your host. We are the online voice of Fate Magazine, which, by the way, you can visit at fatemag.com. If you've, oh my goodness, let your subscription lapse, well, you can just renew it right there. You can also see our archives, our trading cards. We have shirts. We have beautiful shirts. We've got hoodies coming up, and from what I understand, they're going to be the bomb. I am getting mine as soon as I can. We're doing all the things that are exciting. So visit fatemag.com, see what's out there. We also have uncirculated issues in case you have a Fate library, as so many of you do, I know. If you're missing one or 6 or whatever, you can just go there and look, and Phyllis can hook you up. She is absolutely brilliant with that. So tonight's guest is Teal Gray. Teal is an amazing author. She is just prolific in her writing. She is a minister. She is a visitor of sacred sites. She is a world traveler to do that. And she is just one of the best people that you will have the opportunity to meet. So she is a native Texan, and it comes out sometimes. I love that because I'm a Southerner too. and it works. Teal, I am so glad that you are here. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, thank you. I love it. It's been so much fun already. I can't believe the first hour's gone.
I know. Was that not the fastest hour? Goodness gracious. Well, sure. I would use that sometime, but my friend Jim Mallard had the fastest hour in paranormal, so I can't steal his thunder with that. And, you know, I'm loving this because I'm learning things about you that I didn't already know, and I thought I knew a lot. But I'm excited because we have a fantastic question left over from the first hour.
Okay.
And it's from Sherry, who says, I know I ask this question on probably every show because I'm always curious to hear everyone's answer. And the question is, what was your scariest experience ever, and how did you overcome it?
I have to say, there's a few to choose from. I have to say probably the one that I would say is the top was when I was in the UK, in York, England, and I had rented a 650-year-old house because I thought, sure, this would be a great place to have a vacation and write, and of course. And I love history, love antiques, love old houses, architecture. And this one was really gorgeous. The key that they handed me to get into the gate to even get to the house was so heavy. I can still feel the weight of it in my hand. It was so heavy, iron, big old key. And so you're leaving, it's in the shambles of York, which is an old historic part of the city. And some of the buildings actually lean. They're so old. And so I'm going around, you go, put the key in the gate and click it, and it's just magical. You go in, and it was this huge open area before you even got to the house, and surrounding it around that gate was parts of the old Roman wall, and that's a lot of history there. Yeah. And so then you go in, house is gorgeous. And I thought, oh, this is beautiful. It was actually 3 different levels to this house. And I was, the first was the more common, rooms area. And then there was the second and the third floor that were bedrooms. And I stayed on the second floor. And I had taken 7 family members and friends as a treat to stay with me, on this trip. So I'm hosting all these people, and we got this huge place. And so I'm on the second floor on this one wing, and I'm just loving it. I'm just, this place is gorgeous. And I think to myself, this is going to be just great fun. I'm going to get so much work done. I got no work done, but I did get a lot of fodder for work, right? So it was really, it was one of those situations where in my mind, I'm saying, this is like a bad B movie. This is ridiculous. This is crazy. But yet it happened. So the very first night, I'm hearing this tapping on the window, but tapping like tap, 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 like, hey, like getting your attention, not. And I'm thinking to myself, even though I'm on the second floor, even though as you looked out the window, you could see the cathedral, to the left, and the way it was set up on the second floor, there wasn't really, it'd have to be a very athletic pigeon or something to be able to, because there was no ledge. It was just really odd the way that particular part was set up, that it didn't have, the way the window was, it was just, there was no place for anybody to stand. There was no kind of ledge for a pigeon. There was nothing. And I raised pigeons and doves and other birds, so I know the difference of a tap. But nonetheless, I was telling myself, well, that must be some crazy bird situation. I would look out every time. There was nothing there. And I thought, wow, same night, first night. And I felt something tugging on the bed cover. And I thought, well, I'm not even asleep yet. So this is not some sleep paralysis or some weird thing, because I'm awake, I'm up, and I'm looking as this bed cover is tugging almost playfully a couple times, and then shoo, off me. And I thought,
my goodness.
Again, crazy, right? Bad B movie stuff. I was thinking, this is insane. And all, different noises.
Did you start looking for the cameras, for candid camera?
I thought, this is something strange here. And so I thought, this is really weird. And then somebody, I thought it was one of the guests, right? Or one of my family friends, knocked at the door very deliberately. Boom, boom, boom. And it was a big, heavy wooden door. And I said, come in. That was bad because this was the first night. You're not supposed to say come in, not supposed to welcome stuff in, because I didn't know what I was welcoming in. I never thought about that. You would think somebody with my experience would think about that, but I guess no, not. I didn't. Not the smartest person. So, and then I get up, go to the door, thinking, gosh, maybe they didn't hear me. There was nobody there. Everything was quiet on all the floors. And then I tiptoed around, kind of peeking around, and everybody's asleep. The lights are out. There was nobody, but there was this cold, really cold draft. But I didn't think much of it because a 650-year-old house, there's going to be things, right?
There's going to be drafts, yeah.
Going to be drafts. So I don't even worry about that. But I felt a little spooked, So I shut the door and I thought, well, that's odd, because I really wanted to make sure the host in me was more concerned. I should have been more concerned with what's the spirit that was knocking at the door. Instead, I was the hostess with the mostest, thinking, well, gosh, I didn't want somebody to need something and then I didn't meet that need. That was really where my thought was. So I go back in there and again, this tapping, it goes on and on for several hours. And I even got up, and this wing of the house also had its own little kitchen area. And so I went, from the bedroom, there's a living room, bedroom, kind of one big room. They had made that, and you go off, and there was the kitchen and the bathroom. And so I even went in there finally, and I thought, gosh, I'm going to look out this window and see what could possibly be. Is there some way something's blowing a perfectly timed multitude of pebbles against the window?
Because that happens all the time.
That happens, right? There's no trees that can reach it. It's just not. All my excuses are wasted, And so I think to myself, well, that's weird. So anyway, I kind of half sleep, half don't sleep, because it's, I'm expecting the covers to get ripped off again. I'm expecting something, but nothing else happens. The taps finally clear out, and as it gets, more dawn-like, I finally go to sleep. Well, everybody the next day, we had gotten to York at the time when it was the worst flooding and rain that had happened in 25 years. So shops were having to close early, things that we were going to see. Well, they're flooding, can't happen. And so everybody's, like, gosh, we better go get some food. We better go get this. We better go get that. And everybody kind of split up in their little teams to go do these things. And I said, well, what can I do? And there's like, well, what if, if you want to do this or that, weren't you going to write? Weren't you going to work? And I thought, yeah, maybe this would be a good time to write, And no, it was not, because what happened was then everybody left, and I saw everybody leave, and I shut the door and locked it behind them.
Right.
And then you have to go out the walled gate. And because the place was so kind of historic and everything, there's only one key. So I went out, and locked the gate. Nobody wanted the key. They're like, no, we'll just call you and you let us in, and like, they didn't want to be responsible for this original key. And, so I said, yeah, it makes sense. So, and then we were all just like, gosh, I don't think you can leave this open to such a, busy spot. So I locked everybody. They could not have gotten to the house, but okay, so everybody's locked out of the place. They can't get in the house. House is locked. And so I'm there. I go back up to the second floor, and I heard like kind of a crying, moaning, weeping in this little area, which was set up, oddly enough, as a writing area. And I thought that might be neat to write in, because it's just off of the side of the stairs as you're going up the stairs. And I kept hearing something, and I couldn't figure out, was it there or at the foot of the stairs? And I was like, what is it? And I kind of thought, well, could it be an injured cat, or could it be, I don't know, because I'm always thinking rationally. You would think that I would think differently, but I'm more science-minded. I always think of something rational first, and then I think 99% of everything can be explained away. except that 1%. And it's the 1% that should definitely keep you up at night because it's real.
It is very real. Yes.
I'm having a lot of 1% moments right in this place. And I keep kind of laughing to myself like, this is just every bad B movie in the world wrapped into one. And I had no idea it was just going to amp up. So I'm hearing this crying, this moaning, and I think, what the hell is going on? And then it stops. So I think, I'm just going to shut my door. I'm just going to deal with the stuff that I'm used to dealing with already in here. And so I was thinking, oh, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and get something lunch ready, some little snacks for everybody. So when they come back in, we can, have a little something and we'll get out and see what we can see, or maybe even just go kind of tour the areas. It was kind of horrible that things were flooding, but also it was everybody was out to look at this crazy flood water that was going through York. Anyway, I hear these heavy boots stomping around upstairs, very deliberate, like, if somebody was looking for something and walking to certain parts of a room and then going to the other part of the room. And I thought, wow, nobody in my party. I mean, we had 3 males in the party of 7, but none of them walk like this. This had the feel of a heft of like a big man, like a.
It's break time.
Break.
We keep cliffhanging, and I don't even mean to. But we will be right back, and Teal is going to finish this because, holy cow, I am so locked in. We will see you on the flip side. Y'all come right back.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama. Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting. You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... Nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
We are confident that none of our hosts are possessed. Being repossessed a few times? That might be a different story. You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour. Welcome back to Fate Mag Radio. I'm Kat Hobson, your host, and that's all I'm saying because here is Teal Gray, who I had to interrupt on her cliffhanger. I am so sorry. Timing is all.
No problem. So I'm hearing this, these very heavy footsteps, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, somehow I either don't know about another, because I'm very safety conscious. That's just the way I am. I'm amped up when I travel, but I'm pretty amped up at home. I'm just, very conscious. So I was like, I missed something because definitely somebody is here. And I thought, oh my God, that was the most scared I've been, thinking that I was going upstairs to the third floor to confront whoever's there. Right.
I imagine, yes.
So because I'm thinking,
especially somebody large enough to be making that noise.
That kind of heavy, like boom, 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 that it was, but it felt solid, like, a boot, like a boot. And I'm thinking, oh my God. And so I get up there and I'm like, okay, you suck it up, Buttercup, let's go. And so I get up there and I peek my head up as I'm going up the stairs, and and I fling the door open because I think, well, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But, here we go. Maybe I'll surprise them. And I fling the door open, and the only one that is surprised is me, because there's nobody there. There's nobody there. And I even looked and I did not want to look under the bed, because I thought, right, that would be
the person.
I think my heart would stop. But there was nothing there. There was nobody there. There was nobody in the bathroom. There was nobody there. And I looked, all the windows locked. There is no other door entrance. There's, I was thinking, is there like a second stairway that goes in? No, there is not. So I'm quickly out of there, close the door, and go back down to the second floor to my wing. And I'm like, whew. I was like, wow, that was something. And then I hear the tapping. And I thought, you got to be kidding. I looked out the kitchen window thinking, I'm going to catch something. I'm going to catch somebody there. No. And so I flung open the windows, and then I heard a chair creak over in the corner in the dining room area. And I said, okay, listen, if you're trying to reach me, somebody trying to get a hold of me, you want to tell me something? Well, here I am. This is what I do. So let's go. Well, don't ever say that. Don't ever challenge the things that
learn that too.
Don't do it. Because in this situation, everything, remember, is flooded. Worst flood. The phone that is normally working in that house is disconnected. The owner of the place came by that morning early to say, sorry, do you guys have cell phones, everything you need? Because the phones are out. They're not working. And they won't be for, we don't know when. And I said, yeah, we're all great. And so I knew the phone wasn't working. Well, as soon as I said, hey, you trying to reach me? Let's go. The phone rang.
Oh, no. You're kidding me.
The phone rang. I'm telling you, every bad B movie moment that could happen happened on this trip to York.
Oh, Teal.
And I was like, there's but no, Teal's not smart enough to put together that this is something I should really be afraid of. I'm thinking, oh, wow, the power got fixed. Huh. So I answer the phone. I'm like, hello? Well, guess what? It wasn't fixed. But what I heard on the other end, I've never had this experience before. It was like, and it got really loud, and it was coming through the phone. I dropped the phone. At the same moment I dropped the phone, boom, 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 heard the door creak, the big footsteps from the third floor, and they were coming down the stairs. Oh. I thought, oh my God. I grabbed my keys. I opened my door. I looked up. There's nothing, but I could hear them, boom, 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 coming. I didn't run, but let me tell you, this gal power walked down those stairs. I got out of the door, but I didn't realize, because I'm used to living in Texas and everything. Although I travel a lot, it's not enough to make me remember that on some doors you don't open, they're locked. You have to use the key to unlock it.
Yes.
So I'm fumbling with keys I'm unfamiliar with, hearing this boom, 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 boom coming down the stairs, and still hearing some kind of wah coming from this phone line. And I'm hearing this moaning, crying kicking up, like everything that could happen probably was happening, right? And even, who knows? I mean, maybe my bedsheet was flying into a teepee. I don't know. But I get out the door, I lock that door, and I'm taking a couple breaths, and then I power walk to the big gate and lock it behind me. And I wasn't supposed to meet up with anybody for like 2 hours. And I thought, oh my gosh, okay. I'm just going to go over to this park over here by where I'm going to meet them at the cathedral. I'll sit there for a minute. And then it started to get dark, and I'm thinking, what the heck is going on? It's only 3:30 in the afternoon. Well, it was winter time, and in the UK in winter, it gets dark very early.
Yes.
And so I thought, what is happening to me? And it was crazy. But I mean, that was the thing that really scared me, because later I realized that when I went back up there, I didn't want to scare all the people that were with me. And so I didn't tell them about what happened, because they hadn't told me anything bad had happened. And we still had several more nights there. So I thought, just calm down. It did happen. It wasn't a figment of your imagination, but just keep quiet. And so later, after, we're there several more days, as we're packing up to leaving, I don't drop things, very rarely. And I dropped my keys, and I dropped my keys like twice in the same spot. And I thought, that is ridiculous. But when I bent down to get them the second time, I looked and I was like, oh my goodness, there on the second level of this little table that had been right beside my bed was this very, very old round Ouija board. And I thought to myself, well, it's just been an open portal, right? Because probably whoever opened that didn't close it. And I can't close it because it has to be the person who opened it who closes it, right? So, yeah, here's this portal. No wonder. And I thought, oh, my gosh. And then because I didn't really think about how much history was right where we were, the Roman wall, that could have been, Roman boots, I heard, that was reliving some kind of situation. Boots. Yeah, it could have been any sort of a thing. And I found out later that it is common. People had for hundreds of years heard a woman crying at the foot of the stairs because her baby had a bad fall and died at the foot of the stairs. And so you'll hear her moaning and crying, and some people have seen her cradling the baby, moaning and crying. So different things that happened through history showed up, Now I don't know about the window tapping or the blanket. That may have just been fun for them, but are trying to get my attention. But don't say come in or welcome or whatever.
Or bring it.
Or bring it.
Bring it.
Bring it,
Oh my God.
This is my smart mouth. This is what I do for a living. Come on. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't be that person. Don't be a teal gray. Don't do that. And also, I've told people that the more I thought about it, as a protection, I always tell people, don't even put a welcome mat to say welcome in front of your house, because you're just welcoming in anything. Like, if
I've
you need
never
to be
considered that.
You have to, don't do that, because you're just saying everybody's welcome. Well, not really. So be careful. But I would have to say York was the scariest. And then the more I study, I think I put that's actually in Spirited Tales. I wrote about that. And, that whole area has so much history and so many hauntings and different things right around that house. This is pretty fascinating. But that I didn't run. I still haven't run from anywhere, but that's the only time I have power walked out of a place. That was it.
Well, I've got to tell you that I think I would have probably mowed you down had I been there with you.
Well, anybody in their right mind would have. I mean, it was a bad situation.
I think if you had run, that you would not have been able to go back in.
Maybe so, yeah.
I think the fact that you maintained some control, even in the face of that, is the only reason that you were able to go back in and stay the additional nights. Because
when we left, after we left on the drive from York to London, everybody was saying, we had such a lovely time. What a beautiful place. However, did anybody have anything weird happen? And it came out that my one girlfriend, she was in a bedroom on the first floor, and it was the kind that like the canopy beds that have the curtains that go around, but hers were sheer. And there was the way the nightlight was in there. She at first would think it was somebody going to the shared bathroom down there. Well, but it happened at this kind of the same, what is that witching hour, the 3 o'clock? It kept happening around 3 o'clock. She thought, gosh, somebody just got the 3 o'clock calling, right? But it wasn't. There was never anyone there. When she looked, she saw the shadows going towards that end of the house, but she never saw them come back. And she even one night waited because she had to use the restroom. And she thought, well, I'm just going to go knock on the door. It's been over an hour and I just can't wait any longer. There was nobody there. The door was open to the bathroom. Nobody had gone in the bathroom. And other people said, oh, yeah, the covers actually covered me up one night. And I was so scared. I just let it cover me up and I just didn't move. And I just thought if I stay under here, it'll leave me alone. Other people had heard the moaning and crying. And they first thought, gosh, is somebody upset? And then they realized it wasn't attached to anybody in the party. And so they're like, yep, nope. So, yeah, there was for everybody that happened there, but I just didn't know that till the end.
Probably just as well, because y'all would have spooked each other and no one would have been able to stay.
And then you would have thought, am I just being spooky, because somebody said that.
Well, I have to ask, because I know you went back and I know you stayed additional nights past that. Did it continue to happen? Did you continue to hear the boots and the screaming?
I never heard the boots again, but I heard that phone moaning. In fact, even another person heard that too. It started from the third floor that I heard come through the phone, where the boots were. It went, and it was a male, like, whoa, like a classic old ghost out of a castle. And they heard it and jumped out of bed and opened the third floor room and we're like, whoa. And at the same time, I'm out the second door. We're looking at each other. He's at the top of the stairs. I'm in the middle of the stairs. And we're like, we both heard that. We're looking at each other like, you heard that? And you heard it kind of go down to the first floor. So we trucked it down to the first floor and everybody's sound asleep. And nobody in that first floor heard it. Nobody heard that. And so we were just like, yeah, we heard that. And that's crazy. And okay, good night, I guess. And we went back to bed. The tapping continued every night. And I don't know if that was just to let me know they were there or to try to get my attention or to be playful. I really don't know what was behind that. I never heard any other stories about tapping. Nobody else had that problem. But my bed was right under the window that it was tapping at. And then right beyond that was the cathedral. There's just no telling with that many hundreds and hundreds of years of history, what it could have been. But yeah, it was a very haunted place.
Well, it could have been a tree that used to be there.
It could be.
But that's fascinating, Teal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's my power walk place. Yeah.
I just have this visual. So, well, I enjoyed that story. And Sherry said, wow, what a great story. And when you were describing the woman whose child passed, she was just like, oh no, which I think was the universal reaction to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the boots really, the searching, because the searching was what I felt with it originally. But, they used to have, like, the Roman soldiers would come in and search places for people or things. So it could have been a mix of intelligent, residual, all sorts right there. And I'm not saying that the Ouija board was open. I mean, there's no way for me to know if it was open or a portal or anything else, but where it was placed was very hidden. And somebody's like, why did you touch it? And I said, I moved it to the top of the table so that whoever else was coming in there would know it was there, because I didn't know it was there for the whole time I was having.
And that's important information. And, it could even be taken from the home.
It could, yes. And so, I just think, it was on one of the weird little shelf to the table where it was back hidden in the dark. I mean, And I did ask the owner about it and they said, oh my gosh, they were terrified of things like that. It wasn't theirs. It could have been underneath that table for who knows how long, because a lot of that furniture was original to the house and they just left it and kept it and off you go, So my area was all original and they didn't do anything to that except put new bedding on the old, frame and that sort of thing. But everything else in there was as it was when they bought the place many, years ago. And it was 650 years old.
That is so freaky. And that is an excellent ghost story. I have to tell you. That's the best one I've heard in a while. And to know you and know that that's true is just an additional benefit.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it was absolutely true, but I understand how unbelievable it is, because I, in my own head, was like, this is every bad B movie that's ever been made or should be made. Like, make one with throw all the ingredients at it. There you go.
All at one time.
All at one time. Ugh, you know? And the fact that, like, some of it could be checked out and backed up, and, you know, that phone was not working. And I did check after and since, and even when we were gone, it was still, it wasn't working.
That is astounding.
So how it rang, I don't know. And it was one of those old, you know, heavy, metal phones that ring so deep and loud, you know, It's just, I can still hear that ring and the scream and all the stuff, and feel the weight of the key in my hand to that ancient, you know, Roman wall gate. It was just amazing place to stay, but super haunted.
Well, I think that given the age of the things in Britain and France and Scotland and Ireland, you know, just the age of the civilizations there, that a friend of mine moved from Belgium to the United States, and I was just like, tell me about it, because I love that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, you would not like it. I was like, why would I not like it? And she said, because everything is dirty. It's old. Americans are not used to dirtiness, and it's beautiful, but it's dirty and it smells. So
there is a certain thing that comes with the streets and the smell, but to me, that's part of the experience. It's part of the travel. I
think so too.
You know, because living in the pristine high towers is lovely, but also that's not a real experience. You know what I mean? There's so much more to it. And I think that there's beauty in that dirt, so to speak, with just the history. I love that. And I love especially in Ireland, when the people there are so matter of fact about things being haunted, or if it comes up, they're like, well, of course it's haunted. I mean, where else would you expect them to go? I mean, this is their place. This is their home. And so they have a very different view than perhaps some Americans would have about things, like, oh my gosh, you know, they're like, well, I mean, yeah, it's just their place. It's been this way for hundreds of years, and they just grew up with it. And it's just like anything else. It's whatever your culture understands. And, you know, if you look at different cultures in China, Japan, Korea, all these different ones, they have a very deep connection with spirit and elementals and different things. And they believe in a lot of their religions and a lot of their just life experiences that there's a spirit attached to everything, even inanimate objects. So, you know, they just walk through life differently, maybe with a more open mind and a more understanding of things that we haven't touched on yet. It's things that you can find out about in Fate magazine, right?
Absolutely. And you know, that's what's so great, is we get people who submit information about all kinds of things. The diversity of the topics is one of my favorites, because I didn't know anything about the Flatwoods Monster until it was a cover when I first started doing Fate. It was that month's cover, that edition's cover. And so I got in touch with, Phyllis helped me to find the man who is over the Flatwood Monster Museum. It's a small museum, and Andrew was fantastic, full of information. It was great for me because I got all my questions answered all at one time. And he was a great show. And that's when I discovered that, I'm going to like doing Fade. Because I love learning. And it is the best gig for learning on the planet.
Absolutely. and such a high caliber. I mean, the thing is, it's not just, you know, a throw together thing. I mean, they really have, like you say, with an editor like that, I mean, they get the best stories, the best people. You know, the criteria is very high for it. So you're getting the best of the best in that.
I think so. You know, we have really experienced people as far as the cryptids stories go, people who have been on those investigations, who have been striving to get evidence to prove the existence of these cryptids. There are people who have been working in ufology for decades. Mm-hmm. There are people who have done all things paranormal, and they are all tied. They're all tied together. And there are a lot of people who fight that. But
everything's connected.
Everything is connected. To me, that is just proof positive when I see individuals like Nick Redfern or David Weatherly, people, Rosemary Ellen Gully was absolutely brilliant when it came to her knowledge of everything diverse, everything anomalous, and there, Linda Godfrey with the cryptids. I mean, I'm so fortunate that I get to talk to people who know so much more than I do.
Well, and you get to have the crash course in all of these things where it takes, so many years and decades of study for these people to put it together, and you've got the cream of the crop there.
And that is absolutely spoiling me.
Well, that's okay. That's okay.
We are going to have to take a quick station break, and we will be right back after this.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... Nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Sherry has another question for you. Mm-hmm. She says, do you believe in trolls and fairies? She still has a hard time with that.
Yeah, I understand that. I do. And it's not just because I have a lot of Irish, Scottish history, blood in me. My mother had an incident, and she was as no-nonsense as you could be about things. It wasn't that she was an unbeliever of things, but this kind of, gnome, fairy, type things was beyond her wheelhouse. That was just, but she was, just to know how she is as a person and to, believe, trust her. She was so terrified by what she saw and kept seeing. And it was interesting. It was like for 3 nights, and so detailed in what she saw. because she kept seeing, it kept scurrying around the bed. And it was about, it was less than 3 feet tall, because she had one of those big, tall kind of beds that you have to have a little step to get in.
Yes.
But still, she'd never had this ever. And I don't know anybody else who's had this experience either, except a little weird one happened with my father in the same house. Now, this was a new house to us that we had purchased, and it was a beautiful place, big place. And so she had a situation that my father traveled a lot. And so he did not know of her situation. She hadn't told anybody except me. And she would go to bed. She went to bed, and she had been here for a while. This is not something, you just moved in and boom. I think we had been there probably, a year, maybe more than a year, maybe. And she thought that, we didn't have any pets at the time, no dogs or something, but her mind was like, oh, maybe it's an animal or maybe it's anything, because she just couldn't put together that it was something other. And it would scurry past her bed and then disappear like into this old cabinet, kind of a curio cabinet. And it also had a glass back to it. It was really unique. And I'm now, as I'm telling you this, I'm thinking I was not smart enough to think that maybe it was that cabinet, that it was coming in and out of that mirror. Nonetheless, I'm just now realizing this. But it would kind of disappear into this thing, into this wall, into this area. And she said there was no other way to say it, but it looked like, kind of like a gnome, kind of like, some people talk about fairies being a certain size, not just the teeny tiny, she couldn't figure out what it was. And yet it was like if you shrunk a person, like it was just a little person, but it wasn't a child. It was not a child. It was a full grown man, but tiny. And he had an exaggerated nose. And he had kind of scruffy, she said the thing that kind of scared her most at first was the scruffy, like sticking out here in their hair, like a troll, know? But she didn't even know what to call it because she didn't have the experience of a troll or knowing about them. But they do have a certain hair situation going on, right?
They do.
And the exaggerated nose. And she said it was so fast. It was so fast. She said she noticed that its feet were big. Its feet seemed too big for the little body. And it had a kind of a bigger middle, but she said its arms were skinny and part of its legs were skinny, but it had these huge feet. Anyway, scurried fast past her bed and kind of made a giggle, which just, it terrified. She was really properly upset, terrified. And, she was like, gosh, this had to be, she was trying to, think of anything it could have been. Did I eat something weird? She didn't drink, at the time. So she was like, I didn't have a drink. I don't know what. I wish I had, because you want to write.
Might need one now. Yes.
Might need one now, several hundred. And so it happened 3 nights in a row. And it was really fast. And the third night, the curio cabinets, what I call it, rattled when it went through it. So she said it was like it wasn't, to her mind, just like some apparition that she's imagining, because it physically made that cabinet move. And that was a big, heavy cabinet, right? But now that I'm telling you the story, I'm thinking maybe it had something to do with the cabinet and the mirror. Maybe that was some sort of a portal. And she asked me, she was so terrified of this cabinet. She was like, do you want it? Because I loved it. It was gorgeous. And I said, I do not. She sold it immediately. And she called different antique dealers. And the very one that could get to it that day, they were like, well, we can't give you what it's worth. She's like, it's fine. I don't care. Off you go. And she's
away with you.
And everything in it, because she didn't know what was,
what it was
do you
attached
keep
to.
the one thing or yes. And they were like, everything? And yes. She's like, go make, they're like, well, we're going to sell it for a lot. I hope you know, but I just can't pay that. And she's like, let it be a blessing to you. And I need you to take it out immediately. And they took it out immediately. And she never had another problem.
Was
she
this
never
in
had
Texas? Where was
It's in
this?
Texas. It was in Texas, in North Texas, in Dallas. Mm-hmm.
You know, that sounds like the Cherokee Little People even.
See, and I've never heard of the Cherokee Little People, but I will tell you, in that same house in Dallas, my father, unbeknownst to her, she went on a trip after this. She's like, I'm going to take a little trip. And so she went to visit her sisters. Well, my dad comes in town. I'm home. My dad comes in town and he's like, what on earth have you brought in here? And I was like, what are you talking about? You know? And he said, I took a nap on the couch. I mean, I didn't intend to. I was watching TV and I fell asleep. I woke up because I heard my glass move. Something ate half my sandwich and drank half my milk. And I was like, did you get an animal? Because he was not pro animals in the house, you know. Right. And I said, oh, I didn't get an animal, because he was like, she's got something hid somewhere, you know. And he was very upset. He went searching for said animal. Well, there wasn't one. And so this happened to him again. I'm not even thinking about this until I'm telling you the story. I've never put this together. Happened to him 3 nights in a row. And he was insistent that I had an animal hidden. And he searched and searched. He never found the animal. And I said, I don't have an animal. And I said, I think you're just eating in your sleep, or you're whatever, you're falling asleep eating. He's like, no. He's like, I was a Marine sergeant in World War II. I did 3 tours of duty. I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? He's like, I'm very clear and headed. And he's like, no. And he was, oh boy, was he upset. As terrified as my mother was, he was angry, because he just knew somewhere there was some animal that he can't find. And I wonder now that I'm thinking about it, because he said just on the last night, just on that last night, and it never happened again. On that third night, he saw a shadow of something dart just past the corner. He couldn't figure out what it was, but to him, it was the size of a dog, you know,
because that's what he was looking for.
Dog. That's what he was looking for. That's we saw a quick shadow, and it would have been about the height of what was scuttering around my mother's bed, although the cabinet was gone at this time. So I don't know, did it go with the cabinet or something? But we never had another problem with it. But that was like, she had 3 nights, she went in town, and that happened the last 3 nights, and then never again. So it was like 6 nights of craziness. I don't know.
Didn't take her long to get rid of that thing, did it?
No. Really,
I don't blame her.
Really curious, but I didn't know about these Cherokee Little People. I'll have to check into that.
You should, because it's right up your alley, except that it's in Tennessee. But in the Cherokee area, and there's a good history. A friend of mine.
Well, you know, I got to interrupt for 1 second. My grandfather on my mother's side was born in that area.
Is he Native American?
Part, yeah.
Yeah, because me too. But my ancestors are from both the Eastern and the Western Band.
Okay.
So I had some that did the walk. I had some who were born out in the Western reservations, and some that stayed in Cherokee. But the Cherokee Little People are often visible. But I have a good friend, Lewis, who has written some wonderful books about paranormal experiences, and he has got a book on the Cherokee Little People. I will find that for you.
Okay.
And get you in touch, because y'all would probably just absolutely love sharing some experiences. He is a neat guy. But we've got 5 minutes, if you can believe it. And
bad past.
Oh, my word. But what do you want to leave people with? I know that you've shared so much, and you've got other books that are coming out. You've got all kinds of things going on. You're coming back with the show.
Yes.
What have we left out that you wanted to share?
It's not in perfect form now, so don't judge me. But if they want to keep up with me and the book's coming out, I'm going to be updating that, over the next several weeks. I'm finishing up a book I'm doing for the History Press and Arcadia Press called Haunted Denton, Texas. And that's going to be a really interesting one. That's been a lot of fascinating stories that I found out about that. Also, if you go to tealgraybooks.com, TealGraybooks.com, I'll be making that kind of taking all my other pages and making that just a central spot so that everybody can keep up easier, Yeah, and even the Lavender Crow, even my company, I'm going to send all the links there and make it to where it's just all one spot because it's too many diverse things coming up, so it'll just be different pages on that one thing. But yeah, there's a lot of books coming out. I have some thriller fiction that I've been working on over the past few years here and there, so that's coming out, and a lot of things be coming out. Still, my Memento Mori book will be coming out, and just a lot of projects going on. So keep up with me there. I'm thrilled to have your questions, and I can't wait to be back in January. I would just say, remember, keep protected, but also, in the face of things that either you don't understand or a little bit scary, just know you have God on your side and just call on that protection and don't, hesitate to clear things out of your way, your energy, your houses and stuff, because you don't have to live in that fear. You don't have to live with that. And some places are haunted and some things will always keep coming back. Sometimes, yes, you do have to just change locations. But you just always remember you have the upper hand.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
This is fun. Well, I always enjoy talking to you. And sometimes I forget how much when it's been a while, right? But it's lovely that when we picked up the Skype or whatever, that it's just like we talked last week.
True enough. And that's great. So you're a lovely person. I'm thrilled to be here. And it's been so great connecting with all your fans on chat. I appreciate the questions, and that made me take me back to a few things that I had forgotten about.
For everyone listening, whether you're catching us live or catching our archives on iHeart, iTunes, Google Podcasts, oh my goodness, we're everywhere. We're on Alexa through Amazon Music. If you're looking for us there, it's convenient. It's a troubled time that we're living through. There's anger and angst. We're being told that we might not have Christmas. Well, they're talking about the gifts, not the spirit. We will definitely be able to do whatever you feel like you want to. But if you're tired of the angst and the anger and the frustration and everything else, you can manifest that change. You've got it in you. We all do. We can be the change we want to see in the world. Whether it's through a smile, use your eyes if you're wearing a mask, it works. Whatever it takes. Make your world a better place. Be the spouse you'd love to have. Be the parent that you wish that you had had in your life. Just do what you need to do to make your world better. And it'll make everyone's better. And one by one, we will all be the change we want to see in the world. It's contagious. Much more so than the stupid virus. Take care of you. Enjoy your night, your week, and we will see you back. Same cat time, same cat channel. Thanks for being here. Good night.